You're looking for tips on how to start out as a freelance translator? Coming up. Hello and welcome back to the Freelanceverse. Today we have a very special video. We have a special guest on the channel. Antoine Wicquart is coming on. He's a French translator. Only at the end of last year during the pandemic he started out. And I've been in contact with him through this channel actually for quite a while, and he has some really interesting insights and he's doing well for himself. So I thought I can always share my experience, how to start and find your first jobs, etc. But in the end it's so individual and everyone's case is so different. That's why I always say be careful with all these courses that are out there that promise you to be successful in the freelance industry. A lot of these courses will only just share their stories and you have to pay them for that, and that's not really beneficial to you, right? So because every story is so individual. So I thought why not bring actually someone on who started recently, as probably most of you are thinking about or are actually doing now. So we had a very interesting talk about his first month as a freelance translator, how he found his first jobs, first clients, and also what he did before he actually found translation work. So yeah, let's cut to the interview right now. Thanks to Antoine for joining me for this video. It was great and I hope you guys enjoy. So we are joined today by Antoine Wicquart. He is a French translator and he started out not too long ago, so it's perfect that he is joined with us here today. Thanks so much for taking the time to come on the channel.
You're welcome.
So I think the best would be if you could just tell the people a bit about yourself. What is it that you do? Where do you live? And how did you start?
I live in Estonia, in Tallinn, the capital city. I translate mainly from German to French, but also a bit from English to French. I do post-editing projects, proofreading projects, a bit of everything. And I specialize in outdoor sports, video games, and marketing. Okay. And when did you start being a freelancer? I got started in November 2020. I just moved to Estonia after studying in Germany. I studied translation also in France and Germany. So at the Paris Diderot University and later in Germany at the Johannes Gutenberg University. Then I had a job while I was still at the university. I had a job in Germany. And after my contract with this company finished, I moved to Estonia because my girlfriend studies in Tallinn. Okay. So I wanted to join her, and then I was like, why not try it out as a translator? And this job you had in Germany, was this in the language industry or was it unrelated? Before I was working as a translator. At the beginning, I was also working as a copywriter, so French copywriter for a German company. And the last job was at the customer service. So you had some experience when you started? Yeah, some experiences, but I was mostly part-time because I was studying at the same time. So you say you started in November. That must have been quite difficult time to start, I assume, during the pandemic. Or how was this for you? Was it a problem or was it almost a chance to? We couldn't go out here. I was staying home most of the time, and because I had nothing else to do, I was getting started and settling everything. I'd say it was kind of a chance because of that, because I wasn't distracted by anything else. I was just focusing on my launch as a translator. But it still took 2 months before I got my first regular jobs, translation jobs. So at the beginning it was a bit hard, but it took me 2 months to find the first jobs. So it wasn't jobs, you mean clients that come back regularly? Yeah, and I'd say took maybe 2 to 3 months so that I could live out of translation. That it would be enough for me to pay my rent and to pay my food and Oh, okay, that's really quickly then, right? Would you say you were lucky in that sense, or did you just do the right things and you knew what to do, or how would you describe your start? I read many articles. Okay. I watched many videos, and so I was informed. I also studied translation, so I had some education in this field, and my teachers told me already what I should do to get started. So had some info, but I'd say maybe I was also a bit lucky. I don't know. I just tried it out and it worked. People were satisfied with my job, with my work.
I mean, you always need a bit of luck, I guess, to be in the right place at the right time, but you can also force this luck by just doing the most possible, right? I know that we've been writing a bit when you started, and you told me that you've been working like 12-hour days, right? It's not by chance that you made it in, so to speak.
The 2 first months where I was working a lot. Now I'm really cooler and taking more time to do things. And also I forgot to say, my first job, my first big contract was with the company I worked for before. So now I'm working for them regularly as a translator.
Nice.
But I have many other customers, so it's not only that.
So you used your connections, your network for the first jobs.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. And how did you do that? Did you just contact them and you said you're now a freelancer and you would like to work with them, or how did that work?
Before leaving the company, I talked with them about my project, and they told me just to take contact again once I'll be in Estonia, and I did it, and it all worked fine. So. Okay,
perfect. So this was your very first job, because this was also one of my questions. Like, how did you find your first job? Was it?
It was like, well, I don't remember. It was the very first one. I think the very first one was you talked on your channel about the website Probst, I think.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So I was like sometimes looking for jobs on this website. Well, most of the job ads I didn't get any answer from them. So it was quite hard to find. But one of them was actually posted by a friend of mine who studied with me in Germany. So
no way.
So it was actually my very first job, because obviously he gave me the job.
That's funny. And you already knew on Probst that it's your friend, or only when you contacted him?
I had no idea. I didn't even know that he was working as a translator himself. So he wanted his translator website to get translated. So
yeah. See, that's exactly this special kind of luck you need, I guess, to get your foot in.
Yeah.
Did you mention before about your specialization? Do you already have one? Or?
Beginning, I didn't have any, but then, the beginning I was applying to every possible agency and customers, and I noticed quite fast that agencies wanted me to have kind of specialization. That it didn't look really good to say that you're not specialized. So I was like, okay, but I don't really have a specialization, so what should I say? Well, actually, I think when you don't have any specialization, you can still give your hobbies. And personally, I'm a gamer. Sure. I love outdoor sports too, so I was like, yeah, let's go for that. In the gaming industry, it was quite hard, and I don't have many jobs yet. But in sports, I find jobs all the time, and lots of people are contacting me. Well, not that many people, but from time to time I get an email, and sometimes I get some jobs through Probst or through LinkedIn. I'd say gaming, outdoor sports, and marketing are my 3 specializations.
Yeah, it's a good tip actually. If people don't know how to specialize, like there's probably everyone has kind of an interest, a hobby that they know more in than other people, right? And then you can just kind of form it into your specialization. It doesn't need to be perfect in the beginning. So just, think back, like where you've worked, what you've worked, what's your hobbies, and I'm sure you can form something. That's a great advice. Yeah. When you think back now over these last months, is there something that stands out to you that you really didn't expect about freelance translation? Is there some kind of surprise that came your way?
Maybe the amount of post-editing projects. I've been doing mostly post MTPE projects, so machine translation post-editing projects. I'd say it's 50% of my workload.
Wow, okay.
And I had no idea about that. So I didn't know how much I should charge. I didn't know anything to organize myself, how to work on a post-editing project. So I think it's not something that universities prepare you for. So
not yet, at least. Yeah, it's coming more and more. There is a great certification from SDL that I've recently done, post-editing, that everyone can do. It's for free. I can link it down below. It's quite interesting, because then you also actually have a certification about it, and you can offer it as a service with some kind of background, some kind of degree, right? So it was always clear for you that you would offer this service, because I know some people don't like to offer it.
No, at the beginning, I thought it was the devil, so I didn't want to offer it. But then, I don't know, I just tried it once and was fine actually. And I noticed that with some practice, I would be able to reach my rate that I usually offer for translation services. I find it quite interesting also sometimes. It depends on the projects. Some of them are a bit hard and take a lot of time or not really fun to do. But others are really interesting. It's like reading and fixing the text and then...
Yeah, exactly. It's just another type of service, right? If you look at it that way, it's just another type of proofreading, basically. I'm also not against offering it. I'm also offering it myself. What I just pay attention to is I always charge by the hour, just to be sure that if the engine of the client is bad, that, you know, I'm not punished by it at least. I guess once you know the output, you can kind of adapt your pricing, but I would recommend to charge this by the hour if the viewers get into this situation.
When it's possible.
When it's possible, yeah, it's definitely not always possible.
I'm not yet in the position to, I'm accepting sometimes some projects that I shouldn't accept, let's say. But yeah, if I have nothing else to do, I prefer like doing a project that is interesting, but maybe not paid perfectly.
Okay, based on the price, you mean that you should technically, yeah. Of course, in the beginning, you just need to fill your working days, right?
I think if it makes sense for your specializations, well, sometimes you can maybe accept like jobs that are not paid as good as...
Okay, so you can see it as experience to build your specialization, you mean?
Well, that's how I see it personally, but
yeah. That's true, yeah. Speaking of actually that, when in the beginning you probably don't have too much work yet, right? So what would you say in the first months when you're not translating as much as you want? What's the services you can do, or what's the work you can do on these long working days of yours?
So at the beginning, I was working a lot on my passive marketing. I was settling my profiles online. It took some time actually to do it. So my Probst profile, my LinkedIn profile, my own website too. And still a work in progress, but there is so much to do that you can just like get started with that and see if it helps and identify the websites that make sense to for you, like to have a profile on. That's why I've been doing a lot at the beginning. And then of course prospecting. I also follow a training on Probst. Probst was really helpful for me. I spent a lot of time on Probst at the beginning, and it really helped me. I took the membership from the beginning. It's the first thing I paid for my business. So, and I think it's worth because you have so many trainings out there on Probst, and I don't know. I really liked it. I really liked the community too.
That's cool. Yeah, I think they're doing a great job. I haven't used any of the training myself, but I've only heard good things.
I think also like at the beginning you can also spend time on networking. It's why I've been doing a bit later, like 2 months later. I spent more time on LinkedIn, let's say, and I found a Discord community for French translators. And it's been really helpful and really nice also like to share experiences with other translators.
Yeah. Okay, nice. Makes you feel more included in the industry, and then eventually it can even lead to jobs, right? If some people know you now as the outdoor sports French translator, they might get to you, right?
Definitely.
Yeah.
It actually did. So,
what would be kind of an advice you would give to someone who's watching this right now and not sure whether they should start? Maybe they're in the same position as you before you moved to Estonia. Do you have a number one advice to give to someone?
I don't have a number one advice, but I'd say at the beginning, maybe I did a mistake just to get started as a translator without any job and without any real freelance experience. It was a bit risky, but it's been working for me, but maybe it wouldn't work for other people. So I think at the beginning, the best thing to do is probably to have a main job, a main income job, and maybe on the side, like try to get started as a translator and just like try things out and see what works and identify the good decisions. I'd say you just have to try it and see if it works for you. And
did you register straight away in Estonia as a freelancer, or how is the system there?
In Estonia, it's a bit particular because I had to create a kind of company. I registered straight after I arrived here.
Really? Okay, okay. So you straight up registered before you had your first job?
Yeah.
Interesting. I think most people first get some jobs in and then they think about registering. But yeah, you were convinced it's gonna happen, right? I guess this was also putting you kind of in a situation where you just said, I will make this work.
I just tried, and I was thinking that if it doesn't work, then I will just find another job here and something to have a main income while I started having some earnings as a translator. But while it worked pretty fast after that, as I told you, after maybe 1 or 2 months, I had my first jobs. And
so you would say you succeeded in starting out your translation career?
I don't know. I think success is really, it really depends on your own definition of success. Personally, I think many people would say I'm not successful, but I don't really care. I mean, I can afford my lifestyle. I can pay my food and pay my rent and save some money each month, and I'm fine with that. And I also see some progresses every month, so I'm like, okay, it's going in the right direction, I guess.
Sounds pretty successful, yeah, I have to say. But yeah, of course, you're right. In the end, success is what you make of it.
Yeah, it depends on your goals, I'd say.
Yeah, for sure, yeah. But so you pretty quickly, you would say after the first 2 months or so, you realized this is gonna happen, this is gonna work.
Yeah. After a few months, I had the feeling that it would be, well, for now, now it's been around, I don't know, 5-6 months, and it's working out. So from after 2 months, I was like, actually, after the first time I got paid.
Yeah.
After the first payment, I was like, okay, it got a bit more concrete, and it was less abstract, because before you're just sending emails and completing jobs, and you don't really see the money, so you don't really, I don't know, I didn't feel really certain that it would work. And after I started having an income, I was quite confident. Yeah.
It's more concrete, yeah. And actually, I get a lot of questions about invoicing and all this stuff, and I'm about to make a video. I don't know when this goes out, so the video was either before this or after. How was it for you? Did you just learn to do it online, or how did you know how to make an invoice?
It's part of the articles I read before getting started.
Yeah.
I found a French website, so it was about a French invoice, but then I just found some Estonian website in English, and that were explaining how to invoice in Estonia and how it's working, everything. Yeah.
You don't have an accountant yet, or you don't want one yet?
Maybe I will have one later, but for now it's working out fine.
Yeah.
In Estonia, it's quite easy to do everything. They made everything easy, actually.
I've heard so, yeah. Everything is online, right?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Yeah, sounds very good. So that's all I have. Do you have anything else to say to the viewers?
I tried it out and it worked for me. I really enjoy it. I don't want to do anything else right now. So I think you can still get started as a translator right now, even if machine translation is evolving quite fast, and because you can just adapt to the market. So I think you shouldn't be afraid to get started and just try it out.
You heard it from Antoine. I will ask him to send me the links, that whatever you want, LinkedIn, website, I don't know what you have, I will put it in the description. So if you are watching this right now and you would like to know more about Antoine's journey, I'm sure he's more than willing to talk to you about that, because as he said, networking is how he is succeeding in a way as well. So yeah, thanks so much for joining us today, and good luck in your continuing journey.
You're welcome, and thank you.